Yeah, pretty much.
Today is a very special day. Today is a life-changing day, not for just you, but for someone else. Today is Gotcha Day. You hear all the crying, you hear all the screaming and yelling from all the children, and then you hear the excitement from the parents, and all of these children are coming out the door one by one, and you see yours. You go silent, and you don't know what to do, but also get scream and get excited. So exactly what is Gotcha Day? Gotcha Day is something that the CCIA family does when you adopt your child, and you get to see it for the very first time. And adoption in itself should be a very interesting thing that you should learn about. It's not just adding on to the family, but it's changing a child's life. It's giving them a new opportunity. You get to grow up with them, you get to see them grow all together, and you hopefully get to put joy onto their faces. Me personally, I'm adopted, and I was adopted through the CCAI family, and they stand for the Chinese Children Adoption International, and they have done so much for almost the past 30 years. Yes, with adoption there will be a lot of troubles and there will be a lot of money and documents required. But once you finally get that out of the way, it'll be 100% worth it. But how does a child find themselves in an orphanage, or why do they become an orphan? Well, there are many factors that are applied, as whether personal, outside factors, whatever. First things first, money. Poverty is probably the biggest thing. Families cannot afford to take care of their child, so they think the best option is put it up for adoption or leave it out somewhere and hoping that someone else will take it. That is one of the biggest reasons. Another one is disabilities. Maybe that kid has a disability and maybe it's too much for the family, and so they have to put it up. Or even the parent themselves, maybe they have a drug addiction, alcohol addiction, or a mental disorder that just simply does not let them take care of the child properly. Another factor is discrimination. Sadly, families put up their child up for adoption just due to it doesn't reach a certain standard. So they just send it to an orphanage hoping that maybe someone else will take it. Those are the main reasons, but other factors are lack of social service for children, because maybe parents work 9 to 5 jobs and they just don't have that time to be with their children and watch over them. So there aren't any quality services that really offer them that ability to have them give their child over and then finally be able to pick them up. And usually, if you can, it's because you have a lot of money. A really dark factor is some orphanages taking children only for the business. So, in government, more children in an orphanage equals more money. So instead of putting that money towards kids, it will go to personal use of that orphanage and whatever else they want to use it for. And then even further than that, children can find themselves in an orphanage, whether being adopted solely for child trafficking, sex trafficking, and child labor. And if that kid doesn't reach a certain standards, it'll be sent back like as if it's a returnable item. And that can cause some serious trauma for a child. There are roughly 153 million children that are that are orphans, and the top countries with the most orphans consist of China, the Ukraine, Colombia, India, and South Korea. But after a child turns 18 in an orphanage, they're usually left on their own to figure out the adult world. They usually aren't given much education, and they're not given much money either, as well as lack of social skills, just because they're stuck in that orphanage. And Statista says 10% of these children, 10% of the orphans will commit suicide once they're released, 40% will go homeless, and then 60% of the girls will turn to prostitution, while 70% will turn to street crime. And that in itself, too, is devastating. So, adoption will help relieve those options from those children. So to take a step into adoption, maybe you should look into a adoption organization. I recommend CCAI. They have been #1 adoption organization for China and they have worked very hard to get where they are now. The founders, Reverend Joshua Zong and his wife Lily Zong, came to America with low to no money. They realized that there was a huge issue in China where children didn't have homes and they were found on the streets. So they started an orphanage in their own home. Low money, like I said, and they have great Christian values. So they know what means of quality and taking care of children. And they themselves have personally adopted a child, and she had a disability of some sort. So, yes, like I said before in the beginning, money is a factor in it. And some of the fees will include adoption programs, who you go through, home study fees, you will go through legal fees, court fees, sometimes birth mother expenses, and travel costs, so you can get to that place. But the good thing is that the government will offer support if they know about it, and there are grants out there. Adoption can range from $5,000 to $40,000, but average it will go from $10,000 to $30,000. Some of the documents that you'll have to have are marriage documents, whether it's you're currently in one or maybe you're divorced. Other ones consist of financial statements, police reports, medical reports to know that you're in good health to take care of a child, employees letters so that they know that your employers are behind this as well, and recommendations as well. So maybe you ask your grandparents or your parents themselves, hey, I want to adopt a child. Could you recommend me that I am qualified? And there are a lot of steps with that, so you should get an adoption agency, and they will help you along the way. My parents said that their adoption agency was amazing, and it was just a great experience altogether. Now you go into why you got into adoption or why you think about it. Maybe you have a tug at your heart. Maybe it's just been pondering in your mind saying, should I adopt a kid? It's definitely that strong feeling. There is a chance to raise a family. Maybe you weren't able to have your own child, and adoption is a great opportunity to give that second chance. It's not just, or you can just add on to your family again. You can add another child and give it love and care for it. Even better, God's calling out for you, and He's saying, "Hey, you should go out into the orphanage and pick a child to take care of, lend to your heart, and give it a new home and a new opportunity." 1 Corinthians 7:17 says, "Each of you should continue to live in whatever situation the Lord has placed you, and remain as you were when God first called you. This is my rule for all churches." God's saying that He will give you something, He will give you a challenge, and He'll put you in a situation, and you have to follow through. You gotta go head in first. And coming to a conclusion, it's not only taking in a child, but it's giving this child the opportunity to say mom or dad, mom, dad or dad, and it can be single parents too. There will be plenty of bumps along the way, and there will be some struggles, but God will find the way, and God will lead you through. Trust me, my parents had a very similar experience. They got just enough money and raised it up to be able to get me. You should also look into not just international but domestic, so in country. So maybe you can adopt a child that's in America. There are plenty of them that are waiting for a home. It's not for everybody. Adoption is maybe a huge step, and maybe it's just not quite there for you. But you could support a child whether through donating, or you can foster a kid, and that's just a case of taking a child for a while, and then after a while, it will hopefully find another home to go to. But I definitely consider that you put in research into adoption and just have a general idea of what it is about. And if you do adopt, I highly consider CCAI. They're just great. They're just a great organization, and they have worked for almost the past 30 years. And from what I've heard, that they have given great experience for everybody. Thank you. Yeah.